You weren't born to struggle for air in a life too small for your spirit. You weren't designed to fit into boxes others built with their fears. You weren't placed here to merely survive, to punch the clock, nod politely, and quietly disappear. No, you were born to build, born to create, born to rise. And somewhere deep down you've always known it. That faint voice, that whisper in the middle of mediocrity that says, there's more to you than this. That's not your imagination. That's your potential. And it's time to unlock it. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Unlocking your potential isn't some mystical riddle buried in ancient books. It's not reserved for the elite or the chosen few. It doesn't take genius. It takes clarity. It doesn't take perfection. It takes decision. The truth is, becoming everything you are meant to be is far simpler than you think, but not easier. And that's where most people fold. They wait for simple to mean comfortable. It doesn't. Simplicity demands sacrifice. It demands radical responsibility. And it begins with one single shift. You must change the way you think. Because how you think is how you live. And how you live is how you build or destroy your future. Thoughts are not decorations in the mind. They are blueprints. They are orders given to the subconscious. They are quiet architects, shaping your habits, your expectations, your emotions, your results. If your life feels stuck, it's not because the world is too harsh. It's because your thinking has grown too soft, too reactive, too shallow. And now is the time to break the cycle. Understand this. Poverty is not just a lack of money. It's a lack of clarity. It's a lack of vision. It's a bankrupt mindset, recycling limitation as if it were fact. And the first act of wealth real, wealth is a decision to think differently. Think better. Think longer term. Most people live like slaves to the moment, chained to impulses, addicted to short-term comfort and blind to long-term cost. But if you want to rise, you must reverse it. You must become someone who acts with purpose, not reaction. You must build habits around discipline, not emotion. And that begins today, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, not when you're inspired. Today, start by confronting your attitude. Because attitude is not personality, it's not fixed, it's not inherited, it is trained, it is chosen, and it sets the tone for everything else. Two people can face the same storm and drowns in self-pity. The other builds a boat. Why? Attitude. One sees obstacles, the other sees opportunity, wrapped in difficulty. And it's not because one was born luckier, it's because one was taught to look deeper. You must train yourself to see beyond what is. You must rewire your default setting from complaint to curiosity, from resistance to response. Stop asking why life is hard. Start asking what it's trying to teach you. That's where transformation begins. Next, confront your self-talk. The words you whisper to yourself when no one is watching are the bricks of your future. Most people are demolishing their own dreams, one self-criticism at a time. I'm not good enough. I'm too late. I don't have what it takes. These are not thoughts. They are cages, and you must break them. You must replace them with declarations, with decisions, with identity. Not, I want to succeed, but I am the kind of person who does not quit. Not, I hope I can change, but I train my mind daily to match my vision. That is not arrogance. That is responsibility. You are responsible for what your mind echoes, not just what the world says. And from that new identity comes a new standard, a higher one. You cannot unlock your potential living by the standards of average people. You must raise the bar. You must hold yourself to a level that makes your comfort zone tremble. Not because you're chasing perfection, but because you refuse to tolerate excuses anymore. You've done that. You've coasted. You've waited. Where has that gotten you? Now is the time to lead your life like a mission, not a mood. Discipline is the currency of transformation, and those who master it, master reality. Do not confuse motion with progress. You can be busy and broke, active and aimless. Some people are sprinting in circles, calling it ambition. But if your actions are not aligned with a clearly defined destination, you are burning energy with no fire. Direction is more important than speed. You need a plan, a vision, a reason so compelling it drags you out of bed when motivation is nowhere to be found. That's what separates dreamers from builders. Builders don't wait to feel ready. They train themselves to act, whether it's sunny or storming inside. They know emotion follows motion. And yes, you will feel fear. That's not a sign you should stop. It's a sign you're stretching. Fear is not a barrier. It's a mirror. It shows you the edge of your comfort zone. And if you only live within that edge, you will only live a fraction of your life. True potential lies beyond fear, not in avoiding it, but in walking through it with your knees shaking and your voice trembling, saying, I'm not here to stay the same. That's courage, not absence of fear, but presence of decision. Now let's talk environment. You cannot grow if you are constantly poisoned by negativity, drama, and low standards. Your surroundings shape your psychology more than you realize. Who you listen to is who you become. What you tolerate is what you attract. If you surround yourself with people who settle, you will settle. But if you surround yourself with people who rise, you will rise by default. And if you can't find them, become them. Be the example. Be the fire in a room of embers. Others will find you. And then there is time. The great equalizer. The one currency no one can steal, but everyone wastes. Stop saying, I don't have time. You have exactly the same 24 hours as the legends you admire. The difference? They stopped negotiating with distractions. They built their days like fortresses, not open doors. They weren't always perfect, but they were always intentional. If you want to change your life, change how you use your mornings. Change how you talk to yourself. Change how you show up when no one is watching. That's where greatness is forged in the invisible choices. And it's not about some overnight miracle. It's about compounding small victories. One powerful thought, one disciplined morning, one difficult conversation faced instead of avoided. These small wins stack like bricks, building momentum, character, resilience. Eventually, they become your identity. And when your identity changes, your future rewrites itself. You don't need luck. You don't need the perfect plan. You need commitment to the version of you that does not quit when life gets heavy. Let me tell you something simple, but dangerous to your excuses. You are already enough to begin. Not someday, not after you fix everything. Now. You don't need to feel confident. You need to act like someone who deserves confidence. You don't need permission. You need conviction. Conviction that your life matters. That you weren't designed to coast through mediocrity. That your potential is not a fantasy. It's a decision waiting to be honored. And if you honor it, if you live with that fire, if you build your days like a craftsman chiseling a masterpiece out of ordinary stone, you will look back and realize something miraculous. You'll realize that the distance between the person you were and the person you became was not a mountain. It was a mindset. And that is where we continue. And that is where we continue. Because every day you wake up, the clock starts ticking again. Not toward your death, but toward your destiny. But here's the part most people don't want to admit. The clock doesn't stop for indecision. It doesn't pause while you procrastinate. It doesn't care how tired you are. Time is ruthlessly fair. It gives every human exactly 24 hours, then watches what they do with it. The question is, what are you doing with yours? Potential is not unlocked by waiting for the right moment. It's unlocked by becoming the kind of person who moves, even when the path is unclear, who acts, even when motivation is nowhere in sight, who trains, even when no one claps. That is how the great ones are built. They are not sculpted by applause. They are carved by solitude, by focus, by sacrifice. While others binge noise, they build signal. While others scroll, they study. While others dream, they decide. Because your life will not change because you want it to. It will change because you demanded it to. Because you elevated your standards so high, even your former self wouldn't recognize you anymore. That's when you know you've started the journey, when the old you starts to get uncomfortable around the new you. when your habits change, when your circle shrinks, when your boundaries sharpen like blades. That's the price. But it's a beautiful price. Because the reward is you, the you that's been buried under years of conditioning, the you that was always there, just waiting for permission to come alive. Let me tell you something vital. People don't rise because life gets easier. They rise because they get stronger. That's it. Stop praying for lighter burdens. Start training for heavier weights. That's how you grow. That's how you expand your capacity. Life's not going to stop challenging you. But if you shift your mindset, if you start seeing resistance as your gym, pain as your professor, delay as your drill sergeant, suddenly the obstacles stop feeling like curses. They become invitations. Invitations to rise. You must stop seeing growth as optional. It's not. Not if you want to live free. Because if you're not growing, you're decaying. If you're not learning, you're shrinking. And no one else will do it for you. No mentor, no government, no parent, no coach can do the push-ups for you. You have to show up daily, especially on the days you don't feel like it. Because those are the days that define you, not the sunny ones, not the perfect ones, the stormy ones, the lonely ones, the ones where every bone in your body screams, quit, and you whisper back, not today. You want to change your life? Change your non-negotiables. Change what you will no longer tolerate in yourself. That's the gateway. Stop letting yourself off the hook. If you said you'd get up early, get up. If you said you'd quit the excuses, quit them. If you said this year would be different, make it different. That's how trust is built, not with others, but with yourself. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Because confidence is not born, it's earned. It's earned by consistency, by integrity, by doing what you said you'd do long after the mood you set it in has left. That's discipline. And discipline is the soil where dreams grow. Not hope, not luck. Discipline. And hear this clearly. Unlocking your potential doesn't mean working yourself into the ground. It means becoming strategic, becoming aware, becoming intentional. It means doing less of what drains you and more of what builds you. It means auditing your inputs, the people you listen to, the voices you follow, the habits you repeat. If you don't audit them, they will own you. And you'll wake up 10 years from now wondering how you got here. Don't let your future self resent your present laziness. Don't let the person you could become hate, the person you were too afraid to stop being. Life is too short. Potential is too rare. And your mission is too urgent. You must move differently, speak differently, think differently. You cannot become new by dragging your old identity into your new season. If you want to go higher, you have to travel lighter. Let go of who you were. Let go of how they see you. Let go of the comfort of being average. Greatness demands discomfort. It demands loneliness. It demands that you choose vision over validation. Because for a while, the world will not clap. It won't understand. It won't see what you see. But that's not your job. Your job is not to be understood. Your job is to be faithful to the vision, to the voice, to the calling that won't leave you alone. And let me tell you what most never realize. Your potential is not unlocked through giant leaps. It's unlocked through small, consistent obedience to your values. That's it. The real work happens in the quiet, in the invisible, in the hours when no one sees you. The world sees the explosion. But the roots were growing in silence. And that's where you are now. Root season. And if you honor that, the fruit will come. The elevation will come, but only after the discipline. So let's talk about action. Because knowledge without execution is delusion. There's a world of people out there reading books, watching videos, going to seminars, and still living the same year over and over. Why? Because action feels risky. It demands exposure. It asks you to fail in public. But that's the entry fee. You want transformation? You have to pay with movement. Start simple. Stop overcomplicating it. You don't need a 10-year plan. You need a 10-minute decision. What will you do right now that your future self will thank you for? What habit will you kill? What voice will you silence? What project will you start? What truth will you finally stop avoiding? Stop waiting for alignment. Alignment comes after commitment, not before. The clarity comes in the doing. The momentum comes in the motion. And the person you want to become, they're not far. They're just buried under hesitation, under perfectionism, under the fear of being seen as a beginner. Be a beginner again. Be willing to fail publicly. Be willing to look stupid, because most people never start. And you are not most people. You are a builder. You are a climber. You are a leader. And if no one has told you this today, you are allowed to begin again. You are allowed to rise. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to leave the old version behind without apology. Because unlocking your potential, it's not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to be small. And that is what we're doing now. And that is what we're doing now. Because the truth is, the most powerful version of you has always been waiting behind the door of your own permission. Not permission from society, not from your past, not from your family, from you. You've been waiting for the perfect time, the right mood, the green light. But here's what you must understand. The green light isn't coming. You have to move while it's still red. You have to become the one who no longer waits for conditions to be ideal, because the only condition you need is a decision. It's time to stop negotiating with mediocrity. You've done that long enough. You've played small to keep others comfortable. You've shrunk to fit in places you were meant to outgrow. But what did that buy you? Their approval? Their applause? Temporary validation in exchange for permanent stagnation? No. You were not born to blend in. You were born to set fire, to comfort zones, and walk boldly into the unfamiliar. Because that's where life begins, at the edge of who you think you are. And once you've touched that edge, something changes. You start to crave growth more than ease. You start to prefer challenge over comfort. You stop needing to be understood, because now you understand yourself. That's the breakthrough. When your inner authority becomes louder than external opinions, you become untouchable. Not arrogant, just anchored. Anchored in who you are, anchored in what you value, anchored in a mission so personal, so clear, that no insult, no setback, no doubt can shake it. But let's be honest, you will be tested. Life will ask you, again and again, how bad do you want it? And you must answer not with words, but with persistence. Anyone can want success, but very few will endure what it takes to become it. Because the path isn't glamorous. It's lonely. It's messy. It's filled with nights where you question everything. But that's the forge. That's where champions are made, in the furnace of frustration, not the comfort of certainty. So you must get comfortable with resistance. Learn to love the grind. Not because struggle is noble, but because what it builds in you is irreplaceable. Grit, focus, fortitude. These are not given. They are earned in the silence of repetition, in the discipline of consistency, in the refusal to quit even when no one's watching. That's what unlocks potential. Not sudden inspiration, but sustained execution. Let's talk habits, because your future is hidden in your daily routine. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your patterns. If your mornings are chaotic, your mind will be chaotic. If your nights are wasted, your purpose will be diluted. Structure is not a prison. It's a pathway. When you own your schedule, you own your power. And when you own your power, you stop drifting. You start building. Start with the first hour of your day. Before the world enters your mind, you must enter your own. Don't let your phone be the first voice you hear. Don't let chaos write the script for your energy. Take control. Read. Reflect. Breathe. Move. Prepare your spirit like a warrior sharpening his blade. Because once the day begins, you are either the author of your energy or a victim of someone else's. And let's not forget about integrity. Because unlocking potential has nothing to do with image and everything to do with substance. Character is the foundation. You cannot build a legacy on shortcuts. You cannot buy your way to fulfillment. You must earn it. Earn it through honesty, through follow-through, through living in alignment with what you say matters. That's where real confidence comes from. Not hype, not noise, but knowing that when you say something, you mean it. And yes, this path will cost you. It will cost you your old self. It will cost you your excuses. It will cost you relationships built on convenience instead of truth. But what you gain is freedom. Freedom from needing to be liked. Freedom from the weight of pretending. Freedom from the silent guilt of knowing you're capable of more. Most people live with that guilt. Quiet, persistent, that knowing that they've betrayed their own greatness, that they've sold out for comfort. But not you. Not anymore. Because you've seen what that path leads to. A quiet death, a life half-lived, a potential untouched, and you've decided not on a goal but on a standard. That's what separates winners. Not goals. Standards. Your standard must rise. Your threshold for laziness must fall. Your tolerance for excuses must collapse. Because you are no longer negotiating with your lesser self. You are building a life your future children will thank you for. A name your future self will be proud to carry. This is not about success. This is about honor. Honor in how you show up. Honor in how you speak. Honor in how you rise after falling. And when you fall because you will, you must remember, falling is not failure. Staying down is. Every fall is a test of identity. Will you rise bitter or better? Will you collapse into the story of defeat? Or will you rewrite the story in real time with action, with humility, with hunger? You must become relentless, not reckless. Relentless, focused, driven by something deeper than ego, driven by a desire to fulfill the responsibility of your potential. Because yes, it is a responsibility. You weren't given this mind, this heart, this fire for nothing. You were given it to build, to serve, to shine. And every time you ignore that calling, you betray yourself. You betray the world. Because there's someone out there waiting for what only you can build. Maybe it's a business. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's a movement. Maybe it's the example your younger self never had. Whatever it is, it's yours. And no one else can do it like you. But it will not happen by accident. It will happen by alignment between your vision and your habits, between your words and your walk, between who you say you are and how you show up when no one's watching. So stop talking, start walking, start becoming, start refining. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You need to be the most disciplined, the most focused, the most consistent. Because in the end, talent fades, motivation fades, looks fade, but discipline builds empires. And the empire you're building, it starts in your mind. Every day, every hour, every second you say no to distraction and yes to destiny. That's how it's done. That's how the unseen becomes seen. That's how you unlock the potential that's been waiting all along, not in some distant future, but in this very moment. This moment is your invitation. The question is, will you accept it? This moment is your invitation. The question is, will you accept it? Because nothing changes until you do. Not the world, not your bank account, not your health, not your influence. It all waits on you, not some future version of you, but the one who's reading this now, breathing now, doubting now. The you with flaws, with fears, with fatigue, but still standing, still trying. And if you're still trying, there's something in you that refuses to die. That's not weakness. That's proof. Proof that your fire hasn't gone out. It's just buried under layers of delay, indecision, noise, and fear. But now, it's time to dig it up. Potential isn't discovered. It's activated. And you activate it by deciding that you are no longer available for a version of life that insults your soul. You activate it by refusing to be another ghost, drifting through the world, following scripts written by people who settled. You activate it by becoming so brutally honest with yourself, so ruthlessly accountable, that excuses feel foreign, that mediocrity burns, that quitting is no longer in your vocabulary. Understand this: the path to greatness is not mysterious. It's not coded in secret rituals. It's right in front of you, and it's hard, which is why most people look away End quote. Because this path doesn't flatter your ego. It doesn't offer applause. It doesn't give you guarantees. It gives you choices. Every day. And what you choose in thought, in word, in action, either waters your potential or poisons it. So let's be clear. Success is not the result of random luck or cosmic fate. Success is a side effect of inner mastery. It is the reward for clarity, for consistency, for courage. It is earned when you do the difficult thing, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one's clapping, even when the results are nowhere in sight. Success is delayed proof that you've been living aligned with your deepest self, not your loudest doubt. You've got to start thinking like a builder, a real builder. Builders don't just dream, they measure, they prepare. They sacrifice comfort for structure. They trade distraction for precision, and they build in storms. They don't wait for perfect weather. They don't need everything to be easy. They need one thing, direction. And once they have that, nothing stops them. Not setbacks, not silence, not failure, because their compass is internal. Their motivation is intrinsic. Their fire comes from the inside, not from followers, not from applause, not from validation. And if you want to become that kind of person, that unstoppable, undeniable, unshakable version of yourself, you need to build three things: vision, values, and velocity. Vision is your why. The image of your future so clear it haunts your present. It's not a wish. It's a target, a contract with your potential. And it must be revisited daily, not just when you're inspired, but especially when you're not. Because that's when most people forget who they're becoming. Values are your anchor. When the storms hit, and they will, values keep you from drifting. They remind you of who you are, what you stand for, what you're willing to endure. Without values, success becomes dangerous because you'll gain things that don't feed your soul. You'll chase outcomes that don't align with your truth. And that's not success, that's spiritual bankruptcy, dressed in expensive clothes. Velocity is your movement. Not speed, but momentum. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing the right things. Repeatedly, rhythmically, with obsession, with focus. It's waking up and moving the needle forward even an inch every single day. Because momentum is a weapon. Once you build it, you become unstoppable. But once you lose it, the climb becomes 10 times harder. So protect your momentum like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. And once those three are in place, something happens. You begin to separate. Not because you think you're better, but because you realize you're different. You're not here to blend. You're here to lead. You're not here to consume, you're here to contribute. You're not here to repeat history, you're here to write a new one. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. Growth always does. It's not just a process of adding, it's a process of subtracting. You will lose people. You will lose habits. You will lose entire identities that no longer serve you. But don't mourn the loss. Celebrate it. Because what you're losing was never you. It was noise, distraction, delay. Now you're making space for the real you to step forward. And when that version steps forward, the one who moves with clarity, speaks with purpose, and walks with alignment, everything changes. Not instantly, but inevitably. The world starts to respond to your new frequency. Opportunities find you, challenges refine you, and your former self starts to disappear. You are not supposed to recognize yourself a year from now. That's the point. Transformation is not cosmetic. It's cellular. It's not about tweaking. It's about becoming. And becoming is violent. It demands that you burn the old to birth the new. It demands that you betray the version of you that betrayed your potential. That you break up with your excuses. That you divorce your fears. That you say to yourself with unwavering certainty, this ends with me. This one life will not hand you meaning. It will not deliver purpose to your doorstep. You must build it, brick by brick, habit by habit, morning by morning. And no one's going to come save you. No one's going to do the reps for you. No one's going to fight for your future harder than you. And if you don't take that fight personally, you'll lose. But if you do, if you take full responsibility, not just for where you are, but for where you're going, the game changes. You stop being a victim of your past and start becoming a steward of your destiny. And that shift is everything. Because once you become your own source, your own savior, your own solution, you don't just unlock potential, you unleash it, you weaponize it. You build a life so aligned, so alive, that even your doubters can't look away. And all of it starts now. And all of it starts now. But starting isn't enough. You must finish. You must follow through. You must carry your decision like fire in your bones. Because potential is not unlocked in moments of excitement. It's unlocked in moments of fatigue, in doubt, in silence, when no one is watching, and you still refuse to give yourself anything less than excellence. This is the test. Can you show up with the same energy when there is no praise, no reward, no recognition? Can you hold the line when your old self tries to sneak back in, offering the sweet poison of excuses? Can you live every day as if your future depends on it? Because it does. Most people never cross the threshold. They flirt with change, dabble in growth, visit ambition on the weekends, but they never marry discipline. And that's why they never rise. Because greatness does not visit the comfortable. It builds a home in the hearts of the consistent. And now, you know the truth. It was never about talent. It was never about the perfect strategy, the right economy, or some magical opportunity. It was always about you, your focus, your willingness, your hunger, your mindset. That's what unlocks your future. Not luck, not wishing, but the relentless decision to become who you already are beneath the fear. Because the version of you that's been hiding behind the hesitation, that version is done waiting. That version is ready. So let the world doubt you. Let them talk. Let them project their fears onto your destiny. That's not your weight to carry. You are not here to convince them. You are here to become. And becoming is noisy, becoming is messy, becoming is lonely, but it is worth it. Because one day you will stand in a life you once imagined and realize you built it. With your thoughts, with your habits, with your fire, with your refusal to bow to mediocrity. And no one will be able to take that from you. Not time, not failure, not fear, because it's yours. So as you leave this message, remember this. Potential is not waiting for you to be perfect. It is waiting for you to be real, to be honest, to be disciplined, to be unapologetically committed to your highest self. You don't need a new year. You don't need permission. You don't need a sign. You are the sign. You are the alarm clock of your own awakening. You are the author of your own breakthrough. And the lock on your future was never outside of you. It was you. And now, the door is open. Walk through it. Your potential is calling. And this time, don't just listen. Answer.